You know, think about the last time you walked into a really big networking event. Like a huge room, bright lights, tons of people.
Just a wall of sound hitting you right at the door.
Yes, exactly. That wall of sound. And I mean, I don't know about you, but almost instantly there's this quiet urge to just turn around and walk right back out.
Many of us feel that exact same pull. It is a very common reaction.
Right. And then if you do force yourself to walk inside, you always see that one person. There is always someone right in the middle of the room being super loud, telling jokes, just, handing out business cards like they're dealing a deck of cards.
Working the room, as they say.
Yeah, work in the room. And I think we all have this deep mindset, this quiet belief that that person is winning. We assume the loud person in the center is getting all the trust, making all the real connections, and just kind of claiming all the success.
We really do assume that. We're
Right.
pretty much swimming in this idea that loud means likable, and that being social means being the center of attention.
Exactly. But I have been thinking so much about this lately and looking into how our minds actually work, and it feels like a giant contradiction. Because if you really watch who gets the promotion or who builds the deepest trust over time, it is rarely that loud person.
It is very often the quiet person standing off to the side,
Yeah.
the one having a single, slow, quiet chat.
Right. So why does the simple act of just being in that big room feel so deeply draining for some of us? Even before we say a single word to anyone, it is just, it is exhausting.
That exhaustion is so real. And the first thing to know is that it is not in your head, and it is not a flaw in your character. It is just your body's physical response. When you walk into a crowded room, your brain takes on a massive processing load.
What do you mean by processing load just from the noise?
From everything. You are not just trying to have one chat. Your mind is trying to track overlapping voices, right? It is reading dozens of faces at once. It is scanning the room to see who is important, while also trying to manage your own face and posture.
Oh, wow. So it is just trying to do a million things all at once.
Exactly. It is a huge drain on your focus.
I always picture it like a laptop. You know when you have a laptop and you open like 50 browser tabs all at once?
Yes, that is a perfect way to look at it.
The fan starts spinning so fast, and the mouse just freezes on the screen, and the battery's draining so fast you can actually watch the percentage drop.
And you haven't even really done any work yet.
Right, but then if you take that exact same laptop and you close all the tabs and you just open one powerful program, it runs perfectly. Fast, quiet, no issues. That feels like an introverted brain in a quiet room with just one person.
That is exactly how it works.
Hmm.
And it ties into our baseline level of alertness. Every single nervous system runs at a certain baseline. For an introvert, their internal dial is naturally set much higher.
So they're already sort of running hot.
Pretty much, yeah. They pick up on small details very quickly. So when they walk into a quiet room, their mind is already engaged and alert. I like to think of the mind like a sponge. For many quiet people, that sponge is already half full, just from their normal daily thoughts. So when they step into a loud, bright conference, that sponge hits its limit and overflows almost instantly.
Right, there's just no more room to soak anything up. But what about the loud people, the extroverts?
Their nervous system has a lower baseline. Their sponge starts out dry, so they actually hunt for loud rooms in big crowds just to fill the sponge. They need all that noise just to feel normal and alert.
Wait, so they are actively looking for the chaos?
Yes, it wakes them up. It is just a different setting on the exact same human dial.
But then, I mean, why don't quiet people just get used to it? You know, like when you walk outside into the bright sun, your eyes hurt for a second, but then they adjust. Why doesn't the brain just adjust to the loud room?
Because it is not just about getting used to the light or the sound. It is about how your brain gets its reward. Our minds are driven by different reward chemicals.
Like dopamine. I hear people talk about dopamine all the time.
Yes, dopamine is the chemical of the chase. It loves new things, fast changes, and high energy. When a highly social person works a room, their brain gets a huge hit of dopamine with every new handshake.
It is like a game for them.
Exactly. But the quiet brain is not looking for the chase. It is looking for a different chemical, the one that creates calm focus.
Oh, interesting. What does that calm focus actually feel like?
Think about the feeling you get when you are totally lost is a really good book.
Oh, I love that feeling.
Or when you are having a deep late-night talk with a close friend and time just kind of slips away. That warm, settled feeling. That is the brain rewarding you for slow, deep focus.
So a loud mixer is basically stripping away the calm focus we want and flooding us with the fast chase energy we don't want.
Yes. It starves you of the reward you need while overloading you with the noise you hate.
No wonder we end up hiding in the bathroom. But okay, let me play the other side for a second. Even if the loud room feels awful, don't we still have to do it?
What makes you say that?
Well, getting ahead in your career or building a business, it feels like a numbers game. Don't you just have to know the most people possible to get the best chances?
That is one of the biggest myths in the professional world. The idea that you need a massive network to succeed is just a false mindset.
Really? But everyone says your network is your net worth.
Right, but they misunderstand how the network actually functions. There is a deep truth in group behavior known as the strength of weak ties.
The strength of weak ties. That sounds like a riddle. Why would a weak tie be strong?
It is pretty fascinating. Think about your absolute closest friends, your strong ties.
Okay, my inner circle.
Right. Those people are wonderful for your soul, but they rarely bring you brand new career chances. And the reason is simple. You all know the exact same things.
Oh, I guess that makes sense. We talk every day.
Exactly. You swim in the same pool of facts. You know the same people, you see the same job posts. But a weak tie is someone you maybe only see twice a year, or a person you had one good coffee with, they're swimming in a totally different pool.
Ah, so they know people I have never even heard of.
Yes, they act like a bridge to a completely different world of chances. They have access to mentors and ideas that haven't reached your close circle at all.
So you don't need to know 1,000 people at a surface level.
Not at all. You just need a small handful of well-maintained weak ties. Depth over volume is the true path to growth.
Depth over volume. I love that. But if that is true, and we are built for that quiet depth, why do we constantly sabotage ourselves? Like, why do we avoid reaching out for a simple one-on-one coffee?
That is a brilliant question. Many of us suffer from a mental block we can call false guessing. We predict the future really badly when it comes to social things.
What do you mean we predict badly? Like we think it will be awkward?
Yes. If a quiet person thinks about inviting a weak tie to coffee, their brain instantly hyper-focuses on how hard it will be.
Oh, yeah. Like, what if we run out of things to say? What if the drive there is annoying?
Exactly. You think about the awkward hello, the friction of scheduling it. You calculate all that mental cost up front. But you completely forget to factor in the reward.
The reward, you mean that calm focus feeling?
Right. We forget how good it feels once we actually sit down and get past the small talk.
Yeah.
When people actually go to these one-on-one chats, they almost always walk away feeling great. They enjoy it way more than they guessed they would.
So we stare at the price tag and completely ignore how great the actual item is.
That is a perfect way to put it.
And it matters so much, right? Because we need people. I think sometimes quiet folks get labeled as loners who just want to live in a cabin in the woods forever.
Which is deeply untrue. We are all human. We all need connection to feel grounded and healthy. We just need it on terms that match our own wiring.
So if the small, quiet talks are what actually bring us success and happiness, why in the world do we keep forcing ourselves to go to the giant ballroom mixers?
Because the corporate world was largely built by people who process the world out loud. And we feel an immense pressure to fit into their mold. This pressure changes as we move through different stages of life, too.
Oh, this is so true. Let's talk about that. Like, what does this look like for someone in their 20s? Because I remember going to mixers in my 20s, and it just felt like a giant comparison trap.
In your 20s, you are still building your sense of who you are. And a big part of that involves looking around to see where you stand next to others.
So you walk in, you see the loud person crushing it, and you just feel tiny.
Yes. Many people see that loud volume and confuse it with pure skill. They leave the event thinking, I am just not cut out for this field.
That is heartbreaking. And then you hit your 30s and somehow the pressure gets even worse.
Because the stakes get higher.
Right. You might have a family or a mortgage and you really need that promotion.
And that is when the self-doubt really peaks. You look at people effortlessly working a corporate retreat, and the internal voice says, my mind is broken. I am just bad at this.
But the mind isn't broken at all. It is just a highly tuned system reacting to a really loud room. It is a feature, not a bug.
Exactly. It is a feature.
Yeah.
But then as people move into their 40s and 50s, a brand new fear shows up.
The fear that it's too late.
Yes. There's a quiet panic that if you haven't built an amazing network by 45, the window is closed. You think the game is over.
Is it over?
Not even close. In fact, some of the most powerful connections happen later in life.
Really? Why is that?
Because all the shallow panic drops away. In your 20s, you collect business cards just to prove you belong. But in your 40s, you actually know what you care about. You are looking for real thought partners. The talks get much deeper, much faster.
That is such a relief. So no matter what age we are, we can just lean into the depth. But I want to talk about how we ruin this for ourselves on a daily basis.
We do tend to get in our own way, don't we?
We really do. Even when we know better, we have these habits that just destroy our focus before we even step into the room. Like, think about the very first thing an exhausted person does before they go to a scary work event.
They usually drink a huge cup of coffee.
Yes, a massive cold brew. And I get the logic. You feel tired, you want to be sharp, so you drink coffee. But if your brain is already running hot,
Then the coffee is not giving you clean energy.
Yeah.
It is pushing your system straight into panic mode.
it's like revving a car engine while the brakes are on. You aren't waking up, you are just inducing a state of sheer jittery panic.
You are guaranteeing that you will hit a wall and burn out within 20 minutes.
Wow. And then there's the other massive bad habit, the phone.
Yes, the safety blanket.
Right, because when I get to an event and I feel overwhelmed, I instantly go to the corner and just pull out my phone. I pretend I am answering an urgent email, but really I am just scrolling. It feels like a break from the noise.
It feels like a break, but it is actually doing real damage to your focus.
How so?
Okay.
Because it is quiet, right?
It is quiet, but it is training your brain to expect fast, shallow changes. When you scroll, you are getting tiny, constant hits of that chase chemical we talked about.
The dopamine.
Yes. So your mind gets used to jumping from one short thing to another every 2 seconds.
Oh, I see where this is going.
When you finally put the phone away and try to have a slow 30-minute chat with a real human, your brain feels restless. It is vibrating, waiting for the next fast hit.
So by hiding on our phones, we're actually making it harder to have the deep talks we crave.
Exactly. You lose the mental muscle for deep listening.
Okay, so the room is chaotic, we are pumped full of caffeine, and our phones have ruined our attention spans. It is a perfect storm for a terrible night.
It really is.
So what do? I want to give everyone listening a real playbook. If someone has a mandatory work mixer tomorrow night, how do they actually use this depth over volume idea?
Think about someone who goes to these events and just completely changes the rules of the game. Instead of trying to force it, they lean into their quiet strengths.
Like the classic food table hover. I know so many people whose entire strategy is just standing by the snacks so they look busy.
The food table hover is a classic for a reason. Eating gives your hands something to do, but it often comes with a lot of guilt. People think they are failing.
Yes, the guilt of not working the room.
But imagine if that person just stopped going to the big mixers entirely. And instead, they used all that saved energy to invite one interesting person to coffee every month.
Just one person.
Just one. What happens is they stop fighting their own wiring. They sit down across a small table where they shine. And within a year, they build 5 real, deep trust bonds.
And those 5 bonds lead to actual job offers or new ideas, while the loud person is still just handing out business cards that get thrown in the trash.
Exactly. You don't have to become an extrovert. You just have to move the game to a field where you have the advantage.
So let's talk about the specific steps. Tactic number 1, which sounds completely backwards to me, arrive early.
It does panic people when they hear it.
Yeah. Arrive early. If I show up 20 minutes early, the room is mostly empty. I am going to be trapped talking to the person hosting the event. It sounds terrifying.
It sounds scary until you look at the mechanics of the room. Think about what happens when you arrive 30 minutes late.
Okay, if I arrive late, the room is packed.
It is packed. The noise is bouncing off the walls. Groups have already formed into tight little circles. To join in, you have to break through a wall of sound and physically push into a group.
That is sensory overload right away.
Total overload. But if you arrive early, the room is quiet. You ease into your baseline.
So I get to adjust before the chaos starts?
Yes. And if you do end up talking to the host, that is just a one-on-one chat, which is your superpower.
Oh.
By talking to them in a quiet room, you get anchored. As the room fills up around you, you already feel safe. You start to feel like the host of your own space rather than an outsider trying to break in.
That completely flips the feeling.
Okay, tactic number 2. Prepare a few genuine questions. And this doesn't mean boring small talk, right? Not like, how was the drive over? No, not small talk. Genuine curiosity. Preparing questions is vital for a quiet mind because it takes a chaotic situation and gives it structure.
And our minds love structure.
They deeply crave it. If you have 2 or 3 real questions ready, maybe about a trend in your field or a project you know they're working on, you lower your own mental stress. You don't have to panic about empty silence because you have a bridge ready to use.
That makes a ton of sense. But my absolute favorite tactic in this whole playbook is the one-person exit rule.
This is all about giving yourself permission,
Yes, because we go in thinking we have to stay for 2 hours and meet 20 people.
which is a metric designed for loud people. Instead, you redefine what a win looks like.
So what does a win look like for us?
You go to the event. You find one person who seems interesting. You give them your complete, undivided focus for a real chat. And when that chat comes to a natural end, you just give yourself permission to leave.
You can just leave, even if you've only been there for 30 minutes.
You absolutely can. One meaningful talk is not a failure. It is the actual engine of trust.
I love that. And then you go home and you do the most important step, the 48-hour follow-up.
This is where quiet folks massively outperform the loud ones. The loud ones are great at the initial spark, but quiet minds are amazing at tending the fire.
So within 2 days, you send a message.
Yes, a message that mentions a very specific thing you talked about, and you ask for a simple one-on-one call or a coffee chat.
You pull them out of the loud room and bring them into the quiet space.
So your depth becomes your greatest asset.
It is so brilliant. But we have to talk about the final piece, which is recovery. Because even if you do everything right, you are still going to feel drained.
Rest is not a luxury. It is a physical need.
I love comparing it to an athlete. Like if a power lifter lifts heavy weights and then takes a day off to let their muscles repair, nobody calls them lazy.
They call them smart. They say they're in recovery.
Right. But when a quiet person goes to a massive work summit and then needs to turn off their phone and read a book in a silent room for an entire day, we call them antisocial.
Which is so unfair. You are literally rebuilding your mental resources. Many of us need to unlearn the heavy guilt we feel about taking quiet time. You cannot apologize for how your body is wired.
So when we pull all this back together, the quiet focus, the wheat ties, skipping the coffee, setting the structure, what is the ultimate shift in mindset here?
The main shift is redefining what connection means to you. Depth over volume. Being quiet is not a flaw in your career. It doesn't mean you lack drive, and it definitely doesn't mean you are bad at networking.
It just means you have a different setting on the dial.
Exactly. Whenever you force yourself to act like the loud person in the center of the room, you are grading yourself on a test that was never meant for you.
Which is such a massive relief to hear. I mean, for everyone listening to us right now, you can officially stop measuring your success by how many cards you hand out.
Or how loud you can be.
Yes, you just don't need a giant circle of shallow contacts. A small number of real, genuine bonds can open far more doors, create more wealth, and bring more joy than a massive, noisy network ever could.
It is all about playing the game on your own terms.
It really is. And I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over today. The next time you look at your calendar and you see a massive, chaotic work mixer coming up, the kind that makes your stomach drop and makes you reach for the nearest cup of coffee, what if you just skipped it? What if, instead, you reached out to one genuinely interesting person you barely know and just invited them for a 20-minute coffee? If you look closely at how trust works, that single cup of quiet coffee might hold way more career magic than the entire crowded ballroom.
These thoughts, these questions, they don't have to stop here. Geeks Mindset has many more podcasts and videos just like this one. Subscribe to the channel and explore other episodes. They all flow the same thoughtful way. If this podcast felt genuinely useful to you, kabang, share it with even one person in your life. That one share can bring a real change in someone's life. And it helps Geeks Mindset reach more people who truly need this. If this brought you real value, look for the join button right next to the Geeks Mindset logo below this video. Click it and become a member of the Mindset Support Circle. Your support helps honest mindset awareness reach thousands who are silently struggling. Geeks Mindset moves forward because of you. Thank you so much from the heart for being here.